Mr. Mayor, members of City Council, my name is Gus Steyer, and I'm a resident of the City of Danville. I'm here before you tonight on behalf of the Danville Historical Society. I'm a board member there, to talk about the historic tax credits. We're very distressed to learn that in the current House tax reform bill that the historic tax credits are scheduled to be eliminated. Historic tax credits are a 30-year program. They were started in the Reagan administration. They were very bipartisan, received wide bipartisan support. In the last 30 years, more than 42,000 structures have been saved. And the craziest thing about trying to eliminate it is that for every dollar that's been spent on the tax credits, it's generated federal revenue of $1.18. So it's actually a money-making proposition. I don't think I have to explain to any of you all how important the historic tax credits have been to the city of Danville, and not just in the River District, but the effort to revitalize the entire regional economy. So on behalf of the Danville Historical Society and other historic organizations in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we would request that City Council pass a resolution with strong support for the historic tax credits, to continue and to forward that resolution to our representatives in Washington, D.C., our Congressman, Mr. Garrett, our Senators, Mr. Kane and Mr. Warner. This is coming up very rapidly. I don't even know if you have time before the next council meeting to do something like that. Have you got something already? If you're doing something, then I'll be glad to take a seat. So that's very glad to hear that, and so let's hope that it gets some attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hang around, you'll be pleased.
Okay.
And the item added F, resolution on historic tax credits. Councilman Vogel.
Yes, Mayor. I move that the City Council adopt a resolution to urge the President of the United States and the United States Congress to continue the federal historic tax credit program and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Councilman Saunders, discussion on this motion. Councilman Vogler.
I'm glad that we had this put on the agenda tonight. I generally speaking, I support tax reform. I think it's something that's needed in this country, and I think there are some good things in this bill that I believe will help spur economic growth. But eliminating the historic tax credit is not one of them. And I don't think it needs to be explained to anybody in this room the significance that it's had for the city of Danville, but not just us, but for localities across the country. And the role that it plays in rebuilding cities that have decaying and aging structures that would otherwise be lost. And look no further than our River District as a shining example of success, but many other examples you could give. I am encouraged by the letter, I believe, that was sent out to all the council, but there's a letter that's signed by numerous congressmen, including our congressman, that is expressing their support for the retention of the federal historic tax credit. But we need to continue to reach out to our elected officials, both Congress and our two senators as well, because the Senate will obviously have a role in this when the time comes, and make sure that they know the importance of the historic tax credit to Danville and localities like us all across the country. Thank you.
Councilman Shanks.
Yeah, I want to agree with Councilman Vogel on this issue, but I wanted to go a little bit further because we need to acknowledge we have a debt problem in this country, and we do. And it may look like we're cherry picking things that the city of Danville wants to save, just like everybody else is going to be cherry picking. But I believe if everything in this resolution is correct, and the information provided by Mr. Dyer prior to this meeting or earlier in this meeting, if all this information is correct, it clearly indicates that this is not a cost. It's a net gain to the economy of the United States. And that's important. That is what is very important, is it's a positive cash flow for the United States. And that is why I'm supporting this. I don't want it to look like the city of Danville is cherry picking things to support and not support and trying to become physically responsible. But this one matter clearly, as indicated in this motion, is positive cash flow for the city, well, definitely for the city of Danville, but for the country. So I'm supporting this. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also support the resolution. It means a lot to Danville as well as other cities across the country. I think it's well written. I want to commend the staff on that. For Danville getting $93 million and with more to come, that shows the program does work. And we have a lot of benefit in our city for that. It'll be a mistake, in my view, for this to go away. And it also shows that matter of fact, the country is also making money on this as well. With regard to our blight program, without this, we're going to have more blight. So we need this passed. I want to commend the staff again on putting this together. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Buckner.
Yeah, I don't want to sound repetitive to anybody, but as a member of City Council, I'd like to relay my support for keeping the federal historic tax credit program in place. Our River District has been a shining example of how our tax credit program for the state and federal levels have made a significant impact on the communities, great and small. Submitted a little thing to Mr. Crane here earlier tonight, and hopefully that'll be a letter to the editor going in tomorrow as well with my stance on it. I really think that if this goes away, we're in serious trouble for sure. We've done a lot with this historic tax credits, and I'm hoping we'll be able to keep them. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Miller.
Yeah, I want to chime in here and agree, without the historic tax credit, the new market tax credits, any of the buildings, including the old Dan River Research Building, would not have been developed. And so we've used it very fruitfully here in Danville, but as we go around the state and talk to other cities, they're using it too. So we're not cherry picking. We're just going in with the other cities and states that have used these historic tax credits. So I can't imagine, it says 2.4 million jobs, 42,000 buildings, average $131.8 billion in private investment. I can't imagine we can make that up any other way. So these programs are all going to suffer. So this is something we have to keep in the program along with the new market tax credits.
Any other discussion? I'd just like to make the comment, I too support this. And this resolution is important for us to submit to our representatives. But just or even more important is for you to contact them. Citizens of Danville, this is important to Danville and our future. Contact your representatives and let them know the importance of the historic tax. Call the roll, please.
Reverend Campbell. Mayor Gilstrap.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Aye.
Dr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Schiff.
Aye.
Mr. Vogler.
Aye.
Mr. Whittle.
Aye.
Mr. Buckner.
All right.